Okay, so I have already selected all of the books that I wanna read in June, so I'm gonna go through them with you. I have had the worst sleep of my life last night, so I'm very tired, but we're gonna power through it. Okay, so the first book that I have here is none other than Paradise Lost by John Milton. Uh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through all of this in June, mostly because I really want to take my time with it, study it properly. But yeah, I'm just really excited to this. I don't think I have to tell you what Paradise Lost is about. Basically, it's Bible fan fiction. No, I mean it's a very long epic poem, and I think it kind of like retells Satan's story from the Bible, but from like Satan's perspective. And that is all that I know about it. I know that um, Milton's Satan was like a very popular figure through their whole like romantic period. There are several reasons why I want to read this. Obviously, as someone who loves literature and who is very interested in the study of literature, you can't get very far without having read Paradise Lost. Also, in case you don't know, I'm a huge Shadowhunters fan, not the TV show, the books. And the books are heavily inspired on like the Bible and Paradise Lost and Dante's Inferno. Like all of those works are very influential. And this year in November, is coming out a new Shadowhunters book, which is the first book of the last Shadowhunter series. And so I just really want to. It's kind of like I'm doing a bit of like pre-reading for it, and that includes Paradise Lost. Okay, I took off the headphones because I felt like I was screaming because I couldn't hear myself very well because they're like soundproof headphones, like no soundproof, noise canceling headphones, and I just felt like I was screaming. The next book that we got is Chess by Stefan Zweig. This is very short, and I'm very excited to read anything by Zweig because I've never read anything from him, but I did recently, a couple months ago, watch the Grand Budapest Hotel for the first time, and I loved it. And I know that it's heavily inspired by Zweig's writings, so I'm just really excited to read this. It's also very short, so I do feel like maybe like one afternoon I could just like sit with this and finish it. Which honestly, it's like I don't know. I feel like I've done a lot of progress in sort of like deprogramming my brain from thinking that the whole purpose of reading a book is to finish it. But I feel like it's a big issue in the reading community at the moment. At least the people who are like, I mean, at least if you're like on Twitter or if you're like on Goodreads or any kind of like reading app, I feel like everybody's goal is to finish as many books as they can in as little time as they can. And it's no longer about reading, it's just about finishing a book. Like it's not about like reading about the reading process, right? Of like sitting with a book, but it's just like a race to like finish a book so you can like like cross it off your list, and so you can go to your like reading goal. First of all, I feel like it's exhausting. Like I feel like it's an exhausting way of reading, and also like it takes away the whole point of reading, which the point of reading is reading, not like finishing. They want to be done with their reading rather than be reading. I definitely feel that urge myself to like finish as many books as fast as I can. And sometimes I'll be reading a book and I'll be like counting how many pages I have left and being like, but I've been like really trying to just like when that happens, when I feel like myself like racing through a book, just for the purpose of like having finished it, I try to like stop and remind myself that no, like the point of reading is reading. Like it's not about like getting to the last page. It's about all of the pages that come before that. And like just like breathe, and that it's okay to like sit with a book. It's okay if it takes me weeks to finish a book, because the reality is that most of the books that we read, we're not going to like read again. Like, yeah, there are books that we will reread, and I love rereading, but it's usually not the case. Like, most of the books that we read, we won't read again. So it's important to, the one time that we do read them, to like give them as much of our time. Or what maybe, I mean, some books will be read faster than others, so it's not as much about time, but like making sure that you are giving the book the attention and the time that it deserves. So if a book deserves only like an hour or an afternoon, then that's okay. But if it's a book that maybe deserves a couple days or a couple weeks, then that's okay too. There's no race. There's no need to rush through books just to finish them. I don't know. That's just how I feel. I think I haven't had like a reading goal for the last couple of years, because it just like gave me so much anxiety, and I found myself like, just again, as I was saying, like just rushing through books so I could like mark them off and add them to my read shelf, and that just wasn't in my opinion, it's not like a productive way of reading or an enjoyable way of reading. So speaking of rereading, the next book is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which I have read before. I read it in high school on my Kindle, but I was lucky enough last year to be able to get my hands on this beautiful copy. So I'm just, and I don't really remember anything about it. I don't remember, like, if you ask me at gunpoint what happens in this book, I can't tell you. Like, yeah, I know the general premise, like portrait in the basement and all of that, corruption, whatever you want to call it, but I don't remember what happens here. So I'm really excited to reread it. Maybe once I start reading, it will start to come back to me. But yeah, I'm just really excited. I'm really excited to read this because I love Oscar Wilde. I really do. I think he's one of my favorite authors of all time. So that's The Picture of Dorian Gray. The next, I'm very excited about this. We have Clarice Lispector. I read my first Clarice Lispector last year. I read Agua Viva and I loved it. And now in this edition, I have Agua Viva, Hour of the Star, and A Breath of Life. So the next one that I'm gonna read is Hour of the Star. They are very short as well, so I feel like it's a realistic goal for June to read Hour of the Star. I do hesitate to say that because, for example, with Agua Viva, I loved it, but it was a book that I would read, like, there was just so much going on, and like every single line, every single paragraph, there was so much to like unpack that I couldn't like read more than a few lines or a few paragraphs, and I'd have to stop and think and process what I had read before I could like move on and continue. And I don't know if Hour of the Star is going to be like that, so depending on whether it's like that or not will depend on how long I spend with it. But I think that I could possibly read this in June. But yeah, I'm very excited. I really feel like Clarice Lispector is on her way to becoming one of my favorite authors as well. So yeah, very excited to read that. Next up we have, what do we have? Okay, the last two that I've picked we have The Tempest by Shakespeare. I recently found out that one of my favorite quotes from Shakespeare is from this play. I have a list of books that I want to read, and depending on my mood or in things that I find out about them, they kind of like move up in like place of like urgency of like how soon I want to read them. And because I found out that my favorite quote from Shakespeare is from this play, it has definitely moved up, and I really do want to read it. Also, I just really want to read more Shakespeare. I also want to reread the plays that I have already read. For example, I read Macbeth in high school, and I haven't touched it since I was like 16 or 17. would love to read it again because it's like a wonderful play. I read King Lear and Macbeth. I read Macbeth last year, and I read King Lear not last year but the year before last. And I just really want to reread them because I feel like every single time that you reread a play by Shakespeare, you find like something new to love about it. So yeah, but I also do want to read this one. So hopefully I'll get to this as well in June or July, I don't know. And then lastly, this is like a book that I would like to read in June, but I don't know if realistically I'm gonna get to it. And that is Conspicuous Consumption by Thorstein Veblen. The unproductive consumption of goods is honorable. Basically, it's like an essay talking about how people buy things just for the sake of status. So it's like something that we already know, right? But I'm pretty sure that when the guy published this, it was like a new idea or a new concept, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I'm just really also like, can you see like how beautiful this edition is? Like it's just it's got like texture. It's like a textured cover. I love it. So yeah, we've got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books that I would like to read in June. Actually, I should check if any of this. I'm pretty sure that some of this are in my list of the 26 books that I want to read in 2026. Probably all of them, because they're all books that I haven't read yet, and they're all from my shelves. And my goal for this year was to try and read as much from my shelves as I possibly could. So anyway, thank you so much for, if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching, for sticking with me, even though I probably sound and look tired, as you know, but yeah, ciao.